Update. Am I the a-hole for telling my daughter she can't use her college money on her boyfriend, which caused her to break up with him? Original post. I know the title paints me as the total a-hole, but please hear me out. My 47 female daughter Sarah, 18 female, is a very smart girl. She has a 4.0 GPA. She's valedictorian of her class, and she's just gotten word from her dream college that she has received a full ride scholarship. We have a college fund for her for about $250,000. When we found out about the scholarship, we agreed that we would still give her the money to pay for other things that she would need in college, such as housing, food, etc. Well, she came home yesterday kind of sad. He asked her what was the matter. She said that she was not going to go to college anymore. Apparently, her boyfriend Brian, 19 male, told her not to go anymore. Some background on Brian. His family is very well off, and his parents have never issued discipline on this child. I mean, he is very rude and disrespectful. And although he seems sweet to my daughter when they are alone, she'll complain that whenever they're out with friends, Brian is constantly putting her down and comparing her to Instagram models. Brian is currently enrolled in college, but he has no set course of his future. He's just rolling with the cards, as Sarah says. Some other background info is that my daughter is going to school for marine biology. Well, with what my daughter told me about their conversation, she was telling Brian about her full ride scholarship and how excited she was to finally go to school for marine biology. He has never supported her dream of being a marine biologist and has always told her to go to college for a real job. When he sat her down and told her to not go to college at all, he told her to wait for him here in our town and don't worry about getting a job even, because his parents will support her and that he didn't feel comfortable with her going to college out of state and so far away. He also said that it made him feel unmanly when she has a set course of her future which will give her a good life, while he has none. After she told me what was going on, I didn't make a decision right away, but I knew that I wasn't going to just let my daughter throw away her future like this. She then asked me for her college fund so she could help support Brian's dreams. So I took time to think, and I sat her down today. I told her that she cannot have her college fund to spend on Brian. She started freaking out, asking why, and it was her money, and I asked her to listen. I asked her if she actually could see a serious future with Brian in it. She said nothing the first time, and then started crying. I asked her again more gently this time, and she admitted no while still crying. I pleaded with her to please not throw away her future for someone who can't see herself having a life with. She then nodded and went up to her room for some time to think. From what I've learned, she broke it off with Brian, and he has been calling non-stop, crying and begging to speak to her. I feel very guilty and sort of like an a-hole. Am I? Now for the top comments before reading the update. I know that the title paints me as a total a-hole, but please hear me out. No, it does not. It paints you as a responsible parent. The first thing I thought was, absolutely not. But then I read about halfway into your post and I realized that I was right. You're absolutely not a hole. The truth of the matter is that Brian is toxic and abusive. She absolutely loves him, but he clearly doesn't love her because he's willing to wreck her future in order to feel in control. You did the right thing. You're a wonderful parent. At the end of the day, most men will come and go in her life, but you'll always be there. I keep thinking if his family is so rich, he could have moved to where she was going to college. But no, I feel unmanly if I'm not superior to you. Barf. And give me your money. WTF? No. Not a hole. She shouldn't throw away her dreams and future for a guy who is so demeaning towards her and won't support her. Who says he would even come back to her even if she waits around for him. She's dodged a bullet. Yeah, 100%. He honestly sounds like he's got the makings of an abusive partner in him, and you've really helped her dodge a bullet. Give her so many cuddles. Your daughter sounds wonderful and deserves so much better. Not a hole. You probably saved her life. For real. I didn't want to be too dramatic, but yes, her life could have been so terrible for years if you hadn't stepped in. I'd go even further and say that it was terrifying Opie even had to step in, and their daughter is still at risk of this. Opie, I'd really suggest sending your daughter to therapy of some kind. It's quite possible this guy has been emotionally mistreating her for a while, and this isn't something you easily get over. You don't go from throwing away my future or dream job and money for a guy to healthy independence in one intervention. This time, Opie could intervene. She's 18 and doesn't have access to all her money yet. But eventually, she will be able to fork over $250,000 if a guy asks her. I don't count out this guy either. If he's got his tentacles in far enough that should give him $250,000, it's likely she'll still go back to him. Don't let him pour abuse over her for hours on the phone either. You can't imagine the things someone like that will say to have her taken back. And now for the update. I know that this has blown up a lot, so I'm going to post an update in the comments since I can't make a post about it. My daughter came to eat breakfast with us this morning before going to school, and her father and I had a talk with her. We told her that we loved her and that we were here for her. She said thank you and that it meant a lot to her for her to have our support. Of course she does, because we will always love and support her. We made sure to tell her that. But I told her that I did not want to ever see Brian again, and she said the feeling was mutual. I told her all of the wonderful messages and comments you guys were sending her, and some of the advice you gave, and she is very grateful. We made sure to tell her that we know it's going to be hard, but to not give in to Brian's pressuring and to block him on everything. She said that she had already done so when she ended things, and showed us her phone as proof, which she didn't need to do. We weren't going to force her because we trust her. She went off to school and I called our phone provider to change our home phone number, and my daughter's phone number, which I got her approval for. She called me while at school lunch, crying and begging me to come and pick her up. I was very confused as to why she couldn't just drive home in her car when she told me that Brian showed up during her lunch, and him and some of his friends are blocking her from getting to her car, and she is scared. I told her I was on my way, and before I left the house, I called the police non-emergency line and had them send officers over. Since the police station was closer to our school than our house, they got there first, and when I got there, Brian was in the back of a police cruiser. What happened was the cops pulled up, and the rest of his friends ran off, but Brian refused to leave because he believed he was doing nothing wrong. And when the cops asked him to leave the property since he was not a student at the school, he got aggressive and attacked one of them, and was going to be sent to the station. They asked me and my daughter if it was possible that we could go to the station to answer some questions, but that it was not mandatory. I told them no, and that I just wanted to get my daughter home, since she was still a crying mess. We got home and I sent her dad a text message about what had gone down, and I left work to head to the police station, very angry. He came home and told us that he was planning on pressing charges against Brian for harassment, and that he wanted my daughter to file a restraining order. I told my husband to calm down, since our daughter is going through such a hard time right now, and that when she is ready, we will discuss further details. We took our daughter out to dinner to treat her, which she greatly appreciated since we only really go out to dinner on holidays or super special occasions, so this was a big treat for her. We had another dinner outing planned to celebrate her scholarship, but this was just to cheer her up, and the scholarship dinner will be held at another time. We went home and watched a movie, and then I talked to my daughter about how she would feel about going on a little trip to tour her college town and get away for a while, and she happily accepted. The plan is still in motion, but it's all we have for now. That's all of the updates that I have right now, but if more interesting events unfold, I'll be sure to come back. Thank you all for your amazing advice, and my family greatly appreciates your support. Thank you for taking the time to help us even though we're strangers from the internet. I hope you all are doing as well as possible. Your update is concerning. I'm glad your daughter is doing all right, but Brian's behavior is very concerning. I think you should seriously consider the fact that Brian is a very dangerous person, and I think you need to seriously look at a restraining order. I know you guys are going through a lot right now, but you don't want this escalating, and I really think you should speak to the police and start making a record of what went down and then what happened with the breakup, so that you can protect your daughter. I'm not trying to be dramatic, but this isn't normal, and Brian has some serious issues. It's very scary. Totally agree. I see comments downplaying this because he is only 19. That means nothing. He could still end this girl if so inclined. It has already shown he is violent and entitled and has no respect for her beyond ownership. Plus, his parents have the money to bail him out and get a lawyer who will get him off. And he will be right back at it. I hope Opie goes balls to the wall with every and any legal action that can be taken. Next story. Am I the a-hole for not promising my mom that I won't contest her will and giving her anxiety? To be very clear, I'm not going to contest the will. I'm sure she paid for the best of the best when it came to lawyers, and it seems morally wrong anyway. My mom has a lot of money. I'm talking filthy rich. But she decided about 10 years ago that it will all go to her husband if he is alive or to charity. She wanted it to be very clear in her will that it was not for me or her grandchildren. I'm not going to lie and act like it doesn't bother me. As a parent, I just cannot process her decision, but I do respect that it's hers. Recently, someone randomly brought up that I'd probably contest the will. My mom said I wouldn't because that's so low and disgusting, and that she raised me better. Other family began chiming in that of course I would, because who wouldn't? My mom asked me and I just rolled my eyes and told her she'd be dead anyway. I don't know why I'm doing this. Probably just because I feel she's being so ridiculous. That was a few weeks ago, and her husband called and asked me to reach out and talk to her because it's been giving her a lot of anxiety. I said she's being dumb and can figure her own anxiety out. I never made a joke, I never said anything, and this whole situation is dumb. Now for the comments. Not stay home. She made it very clear that you are not a priority in her life or afterlife. Don't let her or her anxiety be a priority to you now. Honestly, I'm surprised she can stand to be in the same room as her mother after she said that. It would be enough for me to go no contact. It sounds like the husband is a stepdad too, since Opie said her mother's husband. Just adds insult to injury. Not stay home. Not stay home. I won't lie. If my parents were filthy rich and they told me they weren't leaving me a dime, I'd be a bit salty about it. I think you've done the right thing by saying you won't contest it, even if you ultimately end up doing so. Filthy rich or not, leaving your kids out of your will is a statement that they don't really matter to you. Mom has every right to do what she wants with her money, but she's filthy rich and doesn't even want to give anything to her grandkids? Yeah, I wouldn't feel great about that either if it was my mom. Not stay home. And of course her husband wants to make sure you won't be contesting the will. He's the one who stands to benefit from this while her children and grandchildren are being slighted. Well, he'd definitely get it if he was alive anyway, as spouses are the next of kin. But the issue is more of, if he's dead, I'd have some ground to contest it all going to charity. Now for the last story. Am I the a-hole for sharing a bed with my 20 female brother, 26 male? I know this story may sound absurd, but bear with me, please. So, I'm a college student and I've been living with my boyfriend, 21 male, since last year. I'm attending an out-of-state university, by the way. My brother had some business to do in a nearby city from today till Friday. He decided to take a little detour and arrive at my place on Saturday and spend a weekend with me, then take an early morning flight to his destination on Monday since it's close by. He had a very busy and tiring day prior to his arrival though. So I told him that I was going to leave the door unlocked and he could just come in as I didn't want to be woken up. He was supposed to get to my apartment at around 6 a.m. My boyfriend left on Friday to spend the night at his parents' house because his mom was not feeling well, and he knew that my brother was coming over. My brother arrives on Saturday at around 6:30 a.m. He tries to wake me up, but to no avail. He tells me, "If you're not going to wake up, at least let me get into bed because it's cold and I'm sleepy too." I say okay, and he gets in. We immediately fall asleep. My boyfriend's yelling wakes us up at around 10:30 a.m. He starts saying how this is basically cheating, asking if we hooked up, if we're in an inappropriate relationship, etc. That this is absolutely disgusting, and mega inappropriate, and other delusional things like that. I tell him that we've always shared a bed while living at home, and that this is 100% platonic. He lets me know that we were snuggling under the blankets while sleeping. I tell him, yeah, that's what people do when they share a bed and it's cold. I start to get really angry at him at this point for constantly trying to sexualize me and my brother's relationship. So I tell him that I'm going to spend a weekend with my brother at a hotel, and until I come back, he better learn how to manage this irrational jealousy of his. I'm back at my apartment now, but my boyfriend gives me the cold shoulder. Not stay home. Is he an only child? Just curious. Some people can't understand sibling bonds. Either an only child or siblings who doesn't have a good relationship. Even then, friends cuddle sometimes too. Siblings even more so. I have a nephew whom I live with. We look more like siblings than aunt and nephew. And on a typical free time, we would be on the couch, legs tangled together while I'm on my phone and he on his Switch. It's normal. If he doesn't change his stance on this, you should break up with him. Next thing you know, he's gonna sexualize you and your father's relationship when he gives you a hug and a kiss. Or, God forbid, when he walks you down the aisle. Yeah, he's an only child. Yep, there it is. When you guys speak of the topic again, point that out. Not so harshly, of course. I grew up an only child. I was already 15 when I discovered I had half-siblings, and I understand that there are a lot of things I can never relate to. But I hate it when people say you won't understand because you have no siblings. Because my response would be, then make me understand. You should find out where you two are gonna go after this. Because if he doesn't try, family first. Of course, this is only because you love your family. Otherwise, that's a different story. Your boyfriend has seen too much incest adult materials. It is absolutely okay to snuggle a sibling when cold and in bed. Unless you guys were touching in appropriate places, it wouldn't bother me, on its own, if I were in your boyfriend's place. I was waiting to see this comment. This was my second thought after, WTF is this dude's problem? Not stay home. This is his weird issue. I guess it is privilege too. I mean, it is really like only a few hundred years since every family lived in one room. Less than a few. My father is from 1941, and when he was young, they had an apartment with one bedroom for his parents, him and his sister. They didn't get their own rooms until my grandparents had enough money for a house later. My father was born in the 50s and was one of the 10 in a 3-bedroom house, though they did at least have a boys' room and a girls' room.